Welcome to toy-polloi.
Hello and welcome to another video from toy-polloi, and today we're going to be looking at repairing the Turn the Terrible Tank game from Palitoy. Now this is not a game I remember at all, but during a live stream that I took part on for IconIcon on the All Things 80s channel, we were talking about old Argos catalogues and browsing through those, and one of the things that we chatted about was this game, the Turn the Terrible Tank game, mainly because none of us could remember it, and the name just sounded amazing. In fact, the tank looks really amazing, so I was quite surprised when after that live stream I got contacted by Craig from Cumbria to say that he wanted to send me a box of donations, and in that box was this very game. Now he says that it doesn't work and thought it would be something fun for me to fix, and that's actually what we're going to be doing today. As you can see, the box makes it look really quite exciting. You've got this tank travelling back and forth on a tank track, and then at either end there are gun turrets, and you fire ball bearings at the tank to make it turn around. And the idea is that if you sort of misfire or don't fire enough ball bearings in time, the tank will hit your turret and it will fire up and you have lost. And as you can see, it has this scary nose that revolves, and it's the menacing machine that turns on you. It's a fairly simple looking game, and I guess possibly quite good fun to play. We'll find that out later in the video, but initially let's take a look at what's inside the box. So let's take a look inside the box. For the age of this, actually the box is in not too bad condition at all. The corners have ripped, but everything else looks remarkably good, so maybe I will repair the box. But really the first thing we need to do is actually get the game working. So inside we have the instructions, so it tells us what we've got to do and how we have to put it together. It requires a couple of batteries, as I can see, and then yeah, basically you just sort of start playing. So you can see here, this is the tank. It really looks like it's barely been played with. It's in very good condition, sort of indeed. I'm not really sure how it works. You fire ball bearings at something, so I guess the ball bearings have got to hit some, maybe they hit that in the middle. Intriguing. I'll still open this up and work out how it works. I won't know what's going on, but it does look very good condition, and I guess there are some batteries that we need to put in there. Well, there's the battery compartment. Oh, and there still are some old batteries in there. Good job they haven't leaked. I'll take those out just while we're sort of working on this. And then we have all the other pieces. So here is the track, just two large orange pieces out of the box. And we have, I'm guessing that's the sort of middle section, and then we have the two launchers and the two turrets. Well, I guess what we should do now then is actually sort of put this together and see what it looks like. It does appear to be missing a couple of flags that go in this sort of middle section, but that's not going to affect how the game plays. So yeah, let's put it together and see what it looks like. So as you can see, I've sort of put it together and it just about fits on my desk. It's a fairly sort of straightforward idea for a game, and I can see it being a little bit of fun to play, but probably not for a huge amount of time. Basically you have this tank in the middle that is going to be moving either one way or the other, so you can see it does actually turn if I sort of move it along the track, and then if I push it along, the nose does rotate. What happens is basically this tank is aiming at your turret at either end, and you are going to be firing ball bearings at this tank, and there's a switch underneath that if you hit it with a ball bearing it will turn the tank around. The ball bearings fire from each end, so if I just I'll fire a couple up here so you can see that's what happens, and that's what's going to hit the tab underneath. If you don't hit the tank and you don't stop it, then the tank will hit this button here and launch up your turret in the air, which is just a spring-loaded turret. There's a red turret at this end as well. So it's a fairly simple idea, but as Craig says, it doesn't think the tank is working. So I'm going to get some batteries and we'll give this a try, and hopefully we can work out a way of fixing it and actually see this thing working. Right, well you can see here I've put some batteries in. I've actually tested the batteries as well just to make sure they are got some charge on them, and they have, and nothing is working. I can switch this on and you can see that absolutely nothing happens. I've also tried sort of rolling the motor a bit just in case the brushes on it are dirty. You can do that from the outside on most toys, so you can see here all I need to do is roll the wheels a few times. But yeah, nothing is happening. So I think the next stage on this is actually to take it apart. And because this is an old toy, it's actually going to be fairly straightforward to take apart. And hopefully we'll be able to spot what's going on the inside. You can see that there are two screws hidden in the battery compartment. And then there are two screws here just on the front. So I'm going to take those out. And yeah, we'll have a look inside and see if we can see something obvious to make this not work. At the moment, I've no idea, so until we have a look inside, yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. After a little bit of sort of looking at this and sort of pondering, nothing seems to be broken. So I thought I'd take this cover off. This is the cover that sort of covers all of the gears. And I've been very careful when taking this off because none of these gears are held in by anything but this. So I didn't want to sort of move anything about, have things fall away, because there's an awful lot of sort of moving parts inside this. It's a very cleverly sort of designed bit of engineering. But what I did do is I've taken the motor out, and I can see actually by turning the wheels, you're really not turning that motor a great deal. So actually taking the motor out and then turning it over by hand, I can give this much more of a spin. You can see I can really sort of rotate that gear quite a lot, and just doing that I've actually got the motor working. So it was basically the motor had sort of seized up over the years. So if I switch this on now, you can see that that motor is running very nicely. So I think if I put this all back together, it should just work now. It's a very simple fix, just a dirty motor. Basically, over the years, all of the metal surfaces inside the motors get a bit tarnished. And by spinning the motor like this by hand, you're cleaning some of that tarnish off the brushes and off the surfaces and giving it enough sort of a clean area that all the contacts sort of start to work again. And then once you get it running a bit, you can run it a lot, and that will clean the rest of the contacts. So if I just run this for a little while, it will clean all of the contacts and it should run really quite smoothly. Oh, you can hear it's going at quite a rate. Yeah, so it really does work very well. So yeah, let's just put this back together, and hopefully everything should just work. It's all put back together now, and we can give it a test. So there is an on switch here. Basically, if I turn this to the on position, it should start up, and I'm going to guess it's going to make quite an awful noise. A lot of these old toys that have sort of gearing in them and stuff make a real racket, so expect not to be able to hear me once this is going. But what I'll do is I'll get it going, and I'll press this button on the bottom. We'll see if the turret actually turns around. If it does, we have a working toy and we can go and have a play. Yeah, it all works, and as I guessed, it makes an awful noise. That really is a very loud, annoying noise, but it does work. So I think I'm going to go and set this up on my kitchen table, as this area here just isn't big enough to sort of do a full test, and maybe I'll get Mrs. Toy-polloi down there to have a go, and we can sort of have a play with this and see what it's like. How good it is, right. And there you have it. As you can see, it does actually work, and Mrs. Toy-polloi and I had a few games of the Turn the Terrible Tank. Was it fun to play? Honestly, no, not at all. The tank makes an absolute racket. It is so noisy, and essentially all you're doing is firing ball bearings back and forward. And we found a pretty sort of straightforward flaw with it as soon as we started playing. Basically, you don't actually have to hit the tank. All you've got to do is fire enough ball bearings down the other end of the track that it overloads the firing mechanism, and you can win easily. And even with very few balls, if you put sort of 5 or 6 ball bearings at each end and fire them, if you can fire enough past the tank and they get to your opponent's end, the game is essentially over, because they can no longer fire their ball bearings and you've won. But really, It's just terribly noisy. It is such a racket that this thing makes. It's rattling back and forth. If you had this as a child, I'm sure that the parents would be saying turn off the terrible tank, mainly for the racket that it makes. So it's been fun to fix, but whether it's a fun game to play, I'm going to say absolutely not. It is incredibly boring, and I think if you were bought this even back in the sort of late 70s and early 80s, you'd have been very disappointed in it. It looks quite cool, and the tank itself, you know, looks quite nice, and maybe you would play with that on its own. But as far as the game part of it goes, it's really just a bit too tedious for anyone, especially at my age. But, you know, I like playing games, but this one is just a very sort of tedious thing to play. So I do need to say a massive thank you to Craig for ever so kindly sending this in. It's been fun to work on and it's been fun to fix. Whether I'll play it again, I very much doubt it. If you've enjoyed this video, then make sure to hit the subscribe button and tap the bell to be notified each time I upload a new video. And thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching toy-polloi. Subscribe for more great videos. You can also follow toy-polloi on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.